What? Are you one of them? What? Get to your point, man. Are you a Trinitarian? No. Why? Seriously? You live here and you're not? I mean, sure, it's common, but this is New Orleans, dude. You do realize how many different spiritual beliefs we have going on around here. Spiritual? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? The Trinity. Onions, bell pepper, and celery. I'm putting you in a crawfish boil pot.
I've stated before that although I live in New Orleans, I'm not really a prolific Cajun cook. I've done the staple foods of gumbo, red beans and rice, and jambalaya, and I feel like crawfish étouffée is that last one in the big four, so I'm going to do it. It's very simple and it doesn't take a lot of time, so I'm going to show you how I make mine. I'm going to start by chopping up said trinity, which includes 1 yellow onion, and I'm also going to supplement with 1 shallot that I have, 2 ribs of celery, 1 green bell pepper, 3 green onions, and about 6 cloves of garlic. I'm just going to mow all that down until it's a pretty small dice. Most of this is going to melt into the sauce, but it's not going to cook forever, so I go pretty small. And that's pretty much all the prep you have to do. We can start cooking now. Into a medium saucepan, I'm going to add 1 stick or 113 grams of butter, melting that and just getting it pretty hot over medium-high heat. I don't really need to brown it yet. Then I'm just tossing in all the vegetables except for the garlic. I'm hitting them with a pinch of salt as well to start the seasoning process. I'm going to stir those around pretty constantly to soften them and also get some browning around them for about 30 minutes. Cajun food is all about cooking things down until they meld really well in a sauce or some type of base like this, so a little extra time spent is always worth it. Then I'm going to throw in the chopped garlic and get that incorporated for about 5 minutes. And like a gumbo, this is a roux-based dish, but unlike a gumbo, we don't need a really dark roux, and we're also doing the roux after the vegetables instead of before. I'm adding in 5 tablespoons or about 40 grams of all-purpose flour. That just needs to get dissolved into the melted butter and start thickening up. And over the course of, 10 more minutes, it'll continue to thicken and brown further. Just make sure you keep stirring it so nothing sticks and burns to the bottom. I'm also seasoning here with a couple teaspoons of Cajun seasoning. I'm also doing like a teaspoon of cayenne pepper because I'm the only one eating this and I like it spicy. Just hold off on that if you have people that can't do spicy. Some people add tomatoes to their étouffée base, and other people think it's demonic to do that. I don't really care either way. I'd eat it both ways, but I don't usually prefer it, so I'm going to skip that. I'm adding like 5 cups of water, but very sparingly at first. I want to work that into the thickened roux paste, and I also want to scrape off the fond on the bottom. So take your time and get it to where it's pretty runny before you add the rest of the water in. By the way, you could also use chicken stock or any other kind of stock, but I'm just going to add some bouillon later. Now comes the titular ingredient, some crawfish tails. Traditionally, you would just use some leftover crawfish tails from a crawfish boil, but nobody's doing crawfish boils down here this year because prices are just outrageous. You can buy these frozen tails almost anywhere, but you just have to make sure they're Louisiana tails. They're going to be way more expensive, but that's because they're authentic and flavored properly. If you get something from like China or Vietnam, you might as well just use frozen shrimp. I'm throwing a pound of those in, gently stirring to break them apart, but trying not to shred them. Then I just need to bring that to a boil and then lower it to a simmer so I can let it cook. I forgot to add 2 bay leaves until later, but do that here and then cover and simmer. I let that go for like 45 minutes just to let everything simmer down together. After that time is up, you should have a really nice, beautiful, thickened, pasty étouffée. All that's left to do is adjust for seasonings. I'm just adding some more salt and cayenne, and also some Louisiana hot sauce because it's the best, but you can also leave that out to be added individually to each bowl. You can add more water or reduce this uncovered to make it thinner or thicker depending on what you like. I liked mine here, so I'm just serving this with some white rice. Garnish with some chopped parsley and green onion if you want to make it look pretty, which I guess this is not the most visually appealing dish, but real ones know. I didn't eat a lot of this growing up because it wasn't my family's favorite, but it deserves to be talked about with the other Cajun staples. Let's get to the taste test.
I love simple food and I love Cajun food. Most often those two things go together. We just like throwing things into a pot and cooking them down like this. Some more Louisiana hot sauce, of course. And like I said, this was never my first choice out of Cajun dishes to pick. I really miss the andouille sausage in this, and I just feel like I like the other staples a little bit better. But that being said, this is unique because of the crawfish tails. You'll get that seafood boil flavor throughout this. And of course, I would never turn this down. Let's get a bite of everything. Cheers. And no, crawfish doesn't taste like shrimp or lobster. I mean, it's similar, but it has its own distinct flavor. And it better taste good for how much it costs, especially this year. This is really hearty and deeply flavored, very salty and savory. It has all the things you love about every other Cajun dish. It's probably done a little bit quicker than jambalaya or gumbo. And I feel like with those two and red beans and rice, I've hit the Mount Rushmore of Cajun food, at least for me. So good. But if there's other New Orleans food you'd like to see me make, just let me know. I'd like to make some more of this. Eventually I'll do my own crawfish boil. I just don't have the equipment or the experience for that yet. But that's gonna do it for me today. Thank you all for watching. Be blessed, and I'll see you next time. Other countries might have better food, but no other American city is touching us.